In the previous chapters, we discussed the status quo of your company as well as the ideal scenario you might be able to achieve within the next 3 to 5 years. And now, in this chapter, I would love to discuss how you can achieve your business goals starting from your status quo as fast as you can, as efficient as you can. This is based on the lean analytics approach, which is a variation of the lean startup methodology. The lean startup approach works in 3 steps. The first step is that you build something. What might it be? Ideally, it's the so-called minimum viable product, meaning the minimum version of your product which provides already a value proposition for your customer segments. So I always say a minimum viable product is something where there's a value proposition, and that's why there might be a price tag based on this value proposition. So people should be willing to pay for that. Whether you ask for a price or not, it's up to you, but this is, in my opinion, the minimum viable product where people start paying for the value proposition. So, and then you start normally with some pilot customers or test users or the first clients or whatever it might be. And then in the second step, you measure metrics. And what metrics are you measuring? Mainly the metrics of your business model DNA, exactly your business model. So you measure these metric values and then you do an analysis and an evaluation of these metric values. So then hopefully you get some new insights in step number 3. You are learning something. What might it be? You check each metric value and then you might find out you're better than expected, you're worse than expected, it's different than expected, or whatever it might be. So, but based on these insights, you hopefully get ideas how to optimize your business towards your goals. What does this mean exactly? This means ideally you find the values of your key metrics. Remember, the key metrics have the biggest impact on your goals. And then you try with some activities to improve the values of the key metrics. Because if you improve the values of your key metrics, you are normally reaching your goals faster because these metrics are increasing or improving the goal metrics the fastest because they have the biggest impact. So it can be any activity to improve the values. It can be that you change your marketing and sales strategy. It might be that you develop new product features or new products, or it might be that you change the revenue model, the pricing. It might be that you change your team. Whatever is needed to improve the values of the metrics which have the biggest impact on your goal. Then you start from the beginning. You implement the optimizations and then you approach your customers again and measure the values of the business model DNA again. And hopefully then it happens what you wanted to achieve. It happens that the metric values of the key metrics, especially, they improve step by step because of your optimization activities. That's the lean analytics approach based on the business model DNA. You step by step improve your business together with your customers. A lot of people ask, how long is one cycle duration? How long does it take to complete one cycle here? And I would say it depends. In some cases it's a week or 2 weeks. In other cases it might be several months, let's say 3 months, 4 months, 6 months in worst case scenarios. It's dependent on what industry you are in, whether you have a B2C or B2B business model, whether you have physical products or software only services or whatever it might be. In my industry, where I'm normally involved, which is software development and or mobile applications, digital business models, a cycle is typically between 1 and 3 weeks. And it might happen that each cycle has a different duration. Maybe the first one 1 week, the second one 3 weeks, and then next one another 2 weeks. So it might be different in each cycle. This is the lean analytics approach, and this is one of the most efficient methodologies and tools which I know to bring you from your status quo towards your goals. As a remark, to be able to implement this approach, you need to make sure that your team is using the right project management tools and methodologies and has a clear communication channel to be able to be as efficient and as fast as it is needed here. In order to apply the lean analytics approach with your business model DNA, I introduce this tool which is very useful, which is called the management dashboard. There might be different other terms in literature like KPI cockpit, so key performance indicators cockpit, or startup dashboard or similar. The most common one is management dashboard in my opinion. So how does the management dashboard work? At the end, it's just a table. And what's within the table, it is the metrics list of your business model DNA. And I would love to show you how the management dashboard works with the example we had in some chapters earlier, which is about the B2C example where you had a social platform for consumers and we had this online marketing approach via Facebook and this freemium model with a subscription where you could cancel monthly and you had also a monthly payment. So let's look at this management dashboard. The first metric in the management dashboard is the cost per click price, which was €1. Then we have the conversion rate from visiting the website to registering for free, which had been 5%. Then there's another conversion rate from free registration to subscription, which means 10% of the registered users, they decided to subscribe for premium. The next metric in the list is the average lifetime, which was 3.5 months. And the last metric is the margin within the price, which is €5. So now this is a very important part of the masterclass. It's important that you see, based on these numbers, we calculated the goal metrics, the customer acquisition cost, which was 200, and the customer lifetime value, which was €17.50. So, and in this situation, the only thing the startup has to do is to lower the 200 as fast as they can and to increase the €17.50 as fast as they can. And the only tools they have to do so are the 5 metrics of their metrics DNA. And please imagine these metrics would be like triggers and sliders on a mixed panel. And or you're the captain of an airplane and you just have 5 triggers to bring the plane forward. And now the big question is, what trigger, what slider would you use? So which metric would you use to improve the most efficient way and the fastest? That's the big question here. And now I will give you a lot of insights how you use this tool to be as efficient as fast as you can be. What you need to figure out is what metrics have the biggest impact on your goal metrics. So we discussed this earlier in previous chapters, but now I present a kind of questionnaire how to figure out after each cycle of the lean analytics approach, maybe after 1 week, maybe after 3 weeks, you measure the values and you sit together with your management team and try to figure out what metrics are the most important ones. So how does this questionnaire works? So for each metric, you ask the following questions. The first one is it possible that you change the value of that metric? So is it in your power to change something? Let's imagine you say, yes, we can do something B, are able to change the value. Then you ask 2 more questions. The first one is, are we doing a good job here already or not? And the second one is this metric having a big impact on the goal metrics, yes or no? The golden rule is find the metrics where you can do something, where you're doing a bad job, and which having a big impact. Because small effort will have a huge effect normally. If you would do it the other way around, you find the ones where you can do something, where you're doing a good job already, as well as there's not too much impact, then normally you need to use a lot of resources to get just a small improvement of the goal matrix. That's why this would be not efficient. And let's go back to the question whether you can do something about the metric value, yes or no. Let's imagine the answer is no, it's externally impacted or influenced. What can you do in this case? There are 2 options. The first option is you just say it is as it is. We just can't do anything about it. So we just take it as it is. Or you say we replace this metric with another metric. So it's this pivot thing. So you change your business model. You try to get rid of this metric. So what would you do in case of a metric where you can't do anything about the value? You either stay with it or you try to make a pivot, especially if this metric is a blocking metric, so which is blocking you from getting successful. Try to kick it out of your DNA. So, and now I would love to show you how the business model DNA approach together with this management dashboard will help you to be as efficient and as fast as you can. So let's start in month or moment number 1, but let's say it's month number 1. And now we try to figure out what metrics are the ones we should change the earliest. So let's start with the €1 cost per click price. To make it short, this metric is mainly externally impacted. You can actually do something about it, but at the end it's a bidding system, it's a pricing from Facebook, and again it's a bidding system of a lot of competitors bidding for the same target group. You can improve here and there with your campaign some things, but if you stay with this channel, you can maybe do something, but not too much. So the team decided, let's look at this later. The next metric, which was the conversion rate from website visit to registering for free, was 5%, and the team said it's a medium value, so they thought it's not bad, it's not good, so it's medium, and it has a big impact, and they think they can do something about it. That's why the team decided, let's focus on this metric. It's a good slider and trigger to focus on. Let's continue. The next metric, the 10% conversion rate, sounded okay, so you're doing a good job already, as well as has a big impact and maybe you can do something about it. But the team decided maybe later the 5%, so the other conversion rate might be more important. And now it's very obvious, the next metric, the 3.5 months lifetime in average. They wanted to build a very, very nice community platform, and people cancel after 3.5 months on average. So something is really going wrong here. So they can do something about it. It's a bad value having a big impact. So to sum it up, this is the second metric where the team decided to focus on, and they decided also to skip the last metric because people are canceling very early. So do not talk about the pricing. Just make sure that the product has a good product market fit. So that means with this questionnaire, the team decided to focus on the first conversion rate as well as the lifetime. So now this tool, the management dashboard, is telling you where to focus on. Obviously, unfortunately, it's not telling you how to improve the value. This is your job, obviously. In my experience, in 50% of the cases, if you know where to look at, it's very, very obvious what you need to do to improve the value. In the other 50% of the cases, you might need to do more to figure out what to do. It might be that you need to do surveys, customer tracking, and or you do user testing, and so on and so forth. What happened in this scenario here? So the team decided to figure out how to improve the 5% conversion rate. So how to improve it? They needed to check whether the wrong audience is targeted with their marketing channel Facebook. So do they target the right people, yes or no? After a while, the team found out yes. After a while, the team found out yes, it looks like we are targeting the right people. So the right visitors are coming to our website. So to improve something, it has to be somewhere between visiting the website and registering for free. So after a while, and some user testing, they found out the value propositions are not well explained on the website. So this is a typical problem. So the founders know how awesome the tool is and how nice the service is, but if you can't show this on your start page, on your landing page, on your website, then obviously visitors might not know how it looks like. They do not see the value propositions fast enough. So the problem was there was too much text and not enough explanations why this service might be valuable. And also the registration process was very complicated. You needed to scroll down to find the registration button. Then you needed to fill out a form which had been more or less complex, and then you got an invitation email, and this ended up very often in the spam directory. So to make it short, please implement a new start page, landing page, website explaining the value propositions, and have a very lean registration process, just the email address and a password, and then ask all other questions later on. So this was the idea to improve the 5%. How to improve the lifetime of 3.5 months? This happened like they started asking their people, their customers, how did this work? During the cancellation process, they just added a new website saying, we are so sorry to hear that you're canceling. Can you please let us know why? And after a while, they found out that a lot of people are canceling because there are some missing contents, some missing functionality. Let's call it A, B, and C. As simple as it sounds, please, dear team, implement, develop A, B, and C. This was the decision after the first cycle of the lean analytics approach. 1 month later, A, B, and C was not ready yet because it was a lot of work, but the new landing page was out there, and you can see the conversion rate went up from 5 to 10%. That's why the customer acquisition costs went down from 200 to 100. 1 month later, A, B, and C was still not ready, but in between they decided to check out different other marketing channels where you can target the same audience with a lower cost per click price. So, and they found out they can target the same audience in Google AdWords. So they took the money from Facebook and took it to the channel Google AdWords, and there the click price was 50 cents, so half. So the customer acquisition cost went down from 100 to 50. And in month number 4, A, B, and C finally had been ready to go, and people started to have a higher activity rate, as well as the churn rate went down. So people stayed longer. They didn't cancel so fast anymore. So that means the customer lifetime value went up from €17.50 to 20. 1 month later, people still stayed longer because A, B, and C, and we could even achieve a higher conversion rate from free users to premium users because of A, B, and C. We also announced the features on the website, as well as we sent newsletters to the free registered users that we now implemented A, B, and C for them. The result was that there was a higher conversion rate. So the 50 euros customer acquisition costs went down to 25. And since people still stayed longer, also the lifetime value went from 20 to 25. And this was the point in time where both lines are crossing, where the customer acquisition cost has the same value like the customer lifetime value. And in the last month, in this example, month number 6, people still stayed longer, and it was even possible to increase the price for the product. So new customers had to pay higher price, old customers stayed with their old lower price, but new customers paid more, and we even changed the payment provider here, and that's why the margin went up from 5 to 8 euros. So after 6 months, it looked like customer acquisition cost 25 euros, customer lifetime value almost double, almost 50 euros. So what does this example tells you? A, you see how the management dashboard together with the business model DNA works, and you hopefully see that this is the most efficient way to push your business towards your goals. And you also see that we changed the situation at the beginning to a very nice looking situation after 6 months. Obviously, in reality, there had been some zigzag lines in between, meaning it not always went down with the customer acquisition costs and up with the lifetime value. There had been some steps forth and back, but at the end, the trend was exactly in this direction. This is exactly what this tool is about. It's about 2 steps forward, 1.5 back, but at least you're going the right direction towards your goal as efficient as you can be. There are some remarks here. First one is, in some cases, as I told you already, it's not always obvious how to improve a metric number, but at least you know what you need to do, which number you need to, or which metric you need to improve. But it might be a little bit more work to figure out what exactly would improve the value. So you need to do split tests, you might need to do more surveys, and so on and so forth. Another problem might be that in some cases the database is too small, so you do not have enough data points to calculate numbers and so on and so forth. But in my opinion, it's still better to have a low amount of data than having no data and not using it at all. And important to know, the business model mechanism is related to your specific business model, but not to the outside world. There might be external impacts like the season. You might have a product which is easy to sell in summer but not in winter. There might be new laws, maybe pushing your business, maybe blocking your business. There might be new competition. There might be new marketing channels available, and so on and so forth. At the end, this is representing your internal business model mechanism, but on top, you need to be aware of what's going on in the outside world. A last remark here. Again, this is, in my opinion, one of the best tools you can use for being very efficient and very fast. Obviously, this shouldn't be your only decision-making basis, but it should be one of your tools you're using to be as efficient and as fast as you can.